Prince Harry's memoir Spare, which made a big splash when it released last year, has now earned itself the dubious distinction of being the most traded in biography of 2024. And not just once, but for 2 years in a row. Despite Spare breaking records as the fastest selling book of all time, it's now the star of an entirely different category, the most unwanted book of the year. In January 2023, Spare hit the shelves with an explosion of hype. Penguin Random House, the publisher, probably envisioned it becoming a modern classic, a thrilling tell-all from a disgruntled royal. They even bragged about its record-breaking first-day sales, claiming 1.4 million copies sold in the UK, US and Canada alone. If you believed all of the headlines at the time, you may have thought Spare was the literary equivalent of the moon landing. Fast forward to today, and it's clear that the only thing being broken here is the book's credibility, and apparently its market value. Spare may have been fast off the starting line, but it's now chugging along in reverse. The book's hardcover edition, priced at £28, is currently fetching a mere 3.38 from We Buy Books, a website that buys unwanted second-hand books. And for those still clinging to hope, it's not even accepted by the site anymore. Meanwhile, the paperback edition, once retailing for $10.99, has been relegated to the 75p bargain. What's even juicier, the book's sales trajectory. After the initial hype, the paperback edition barely made a dent, with just 1,809 copies selling in its first week in the UK. To put that in perspective, that's less than the average self-published cookbook by a local chef. But his book still manages to outsell a lot of things, like anyone else's royal memoir that didn't come with a public backlash and scandal after scandal. The book was originally sold under the premise that it was non-fiction, an honest account of Harry's life and struggles within the royal family. But as the dust settles, it's looking more and more like Spare could be reclassified as fiction, given the sheer number of unverified and downright bizarre claims, like Harry allegedly inhaling laughing gas while Meghan was giving birth. Experts in the medical field have already debunked this, but who's counting? The cherry on top of this royal disaster cake, the fact that stores were pressured to buy copies in bulk, ensuring that Spare flooded the market and then inevitably flooded the return bins. It's the book equivalent of having your own Netflix show cancelled after one season. Sure, it got a big splash at first, but after a couple of episodes it's out the door and into the bargain bin. Now, with all of this proof that the book's fastest selling status was more of a marketing gimmick than a legitimate achievement, we're left wondering why Penguin Random House is still pretending it's the book that everyone's clamouring for. For all the glossy press releases, it looks like Spare's earned its place as the most traded in book of the year, not the most sold. And while Harry may have once dreamed of proving his worth beyond the royal family, it's becoming abundantly clear his literary career isn't looking much better than his time spent in the royal spotlight. When everything Harry and Meghan touch seems to turn to dust, it's only fitting that Spare becomes a lesson in just how quickly the public's affection can sour. The reverse Midas touch is real, and it's alive and well in Montecito.